Today we'll recap the crime and drama series Dear Child. Watch out and take care. In a cozy house, a woman and 2 children play happily even though they've been imprisoned. Their kidnapper, whose face remains hidden, inspects their outstretched hands, rewarding them with chocolate. However, the woman bears a mysterious mark on her hand and trembles in fear as the man reminds her of the rules. The scene transitions to the woman fleeing through a forest in a white nightgown. She approaches a passing car, resulting in a collision. In an ambulance, medical professionals strive to stabilize her, while little Hannah, bundled in a blanket, remains at her side, reassuring her with comforting words as her heart rate rises. She tells the EMT her mother's blood type. At the accident scene, a policewoman reports a hit and run on the phone. She investigates something in the forest but finds nothing, unaware of someone hiding among the trees. Inside the hospital, as Lena is rushed for treatment, her daughter Hannah explores, catching the attention of Nurse Ruth. When asked about her last name, Hannah replies with Goliath, claiming it as her own choice. During Lena's surgery, flashes of her past abuse torment her, and she pleads to rest. Doctors become alarmed as Lena begins to convulse, sensing that something is terribly wrong. Ruth provides Hannah with new clothes and questions her about the hit and run. Hannah describes the incident as an accident, with the driver staying until the ambulance arrived. She portrays Lena as clumsy and inadvertently suggests Lena had considered harming her father. Ruth is taken aback, leaves to find drawing supplies for Hannah, who tries to reassure herself. Outside, Ruth meets Aida Kurt from Arkansas and relays Hannah's information. In the hospital's break room, Hannah looks out the window and names objects, including a circulation machine. Aida's concern grows due to the lack of a last name and address. Meanwhile, Ruth heads off to contact the psychology department, and Aida instructs the policewoman to investigate potential escape routes around the forest. Gerd Booling reviews the hit-and-run police report, noticing something unusual. He makes a phone call to Matthias Beck, waking the old man, and shares the news of Lena's discovery at Aachen University Hospital. The call abruptly ends, leaving Matthias to inform his wife Karen Beck that their daughter Lena has been found alive. Lena's surgery concludes with a surprising twist: a blood type mix-up. However, the medical team successfully saves her, prompting an inquiry into the mistake. Hannah is deep in her drawing, reveals details about her home and younger brother Jonathan, but adamantly refuses to disclose her address. She playfully colors the windows black, citing the circulation machine for providing their essential air. Lena is struggling to breathe, lies in bed with the children. A man in a gas mask enters to fix the ventilation, and Hannah thanks her father in her half-asleep state. Ruth tries to inquire about their home, but Hannah insists on secrecy. On their way to the hospital, the Becks receive a call from Gerd, suggesting the woman may not be their Lena, but they decide to continue. Aida discusses the blood type mix-up with a doctor and then meets Dr. Benedict Hamstedt, who's there to talk to Hannah. In the break room, Hannah and Aida extend their hands as a sign of trust, ensuring they have nothing hidden. Ruth briefs Aida outside, detailing everything Hannah mentioned about her house and Jonathan. Flashbacks show Jonathan cleaning a blood stain while a man lies unconscious behind him. Benedict questions Hannah about her father, and Aida joins in, inquiring about friends and school. Hannah brushes off the need for friends, claiming homeschooling and awareness of her blood type. When asked about their reason for fleeing, Hannah remains silent. She mentions her cat, Miss Stinky, then lowers her head onto the table, lost in thought, yearning for home or a seaside trip with her mother. While investigating near the forest, the policewoman spots a flicker of light but finds nothing. Benedict tells Aida they'll need more time with Hannah and that she'll stay at the hospital for the night. Aida receives a phone call as Matthias and Karen prepare to visit Lena, learning about her condition from a doctor. Ruth enters the break room, comforting Hannah, who asks to see her mother. In Lena's hospital room, Matthias is visibly distressed, realizing the woman isn't his daughter. Gerd, a state criminal investigator, meets Aida, recognizing her from her application to stateside. They follow a commotion and find Matthias being restrained by nurses. Gerd calms him down, but Matthias bitterly reminds him of his promise to bring their daughter home. Just then, Ruth arrives with Hannah, who both Matthias and Karen recognize as Lena. In Hannah's thoughts, Matthias is referred to as her grandfather, while outwardly, she stays close to Ruth. In the hospital room, Lena's inner thoughts reveal her awareness of the situation but her inability to communicate. She reflects, "Lena, you know what he did." Hannah narrates a sweet tale of her parents' love story while there's a woman walking on the road, receiving a car's flashing headlights. In the present, the Becks and Gerd share their observations about Hannah's striking resemblance to Lena. Aida requests Lena Beck's case file and DNA, also informing the Becks about what they've uncovered regarding Jonathan and their house. Back at the house, the man is still on the floor, his head covered. In a flashback, he unlocks Lena from the bed, thanking her for their time together. Aida advises the Becks to return home while awaiting DNA results, and they mention Lena's AB-negative blood type. Aida questions Gerd's involvement in the Lena Beck case, considering his friendship with Matthias, which he had kept hidden. Frustrated, she learns that there have been no leads on Lena for 13 years. Aida receives a phone call and leaves, leaving Gerd to stay with the Becks and promising to update him if the woman in the hospital wakes up. Matthias quietly joins Hannah in the break room, noticing her drawing of their house and promising to take her home. In the hospital, Gerd questions the unconscious woman, and when he asks for her name, she awakens briefly. A mysterious voice in her head guides her to answer as Lena before she passes out again. We glimpse the woman's daily routine under the voice's influence, including a distressing episode where she struggles to open a milk can, prompting Hannah's help. Back to the present, the woman sees Matthias vow to care for Hannah. Near the accident site, a search operation involving police and dogs is underway. Using Lena's clothes for scent, a man approaches a roadblock, seeking information, but appears to be regular security personnel. Gerd updates Aida about the woman's brief consciousness and the fresh scar on her hand. Hannah wakes up to breakfast with Dr. Hamstedt in her room, where she subtly acknowledges Matthias as her grandfather from a previous encounter. In a garden of flowers, Hannah runs into her grandfather's arms, a moment relayed to Gerd by Benedict. Sparking surprise about Matthias possibly meeting Hannah before, Gerd decides he needs a DNA sample from Hannah. Hannah continues sharing stories with Ruth and receives sunglasses to explore the view outside. Gerd discusses his findings with Matthias and Karen, but they react angrily. Ruth collects a DNA sample from Hannah and allows her to visit her mother, emphasizing secrecy. Meanwhile, a police officer discovers fabric on a fence near a decommissioned military field. Hannah, still wearing sunglasses, visits the woman in the hospital and discreetly places something in Lena's hand, whispering, "He is always with you." Lena finds a shard of glass in her palm, which she hides under her blanket. Meanwhile, Aida and the policewoman are barred from entering the military field. Gerd attempts to question the woman, seeking her real name and showing her a picture of Lena. He starts describing Lena's talents and her mysterious disappearance after a party. However, the woman's mention of a man causes her heart rate to spike, and the doctor intervenes. In a hushed tone, she asks the doctor to check if she's pregnant. In a flashback, the woman is told to tell the kids a bedtime story, appearing beaten and shocked. Despite her condition, the kids act normally. The man intervenes when the kids can't choose a story. Matthias witnesses Hannah being driven to Benedict's hospital and rushes out. In the car, Benedict explains the clinic to Hannah as Matthias seemingly follows them. Karen tries to reach Matthias to no avail. Gerd arrives and apologizes. Karen confides in him about Matthias's deteriorating condition, and they discuss Gerd's well-being. Gerd advises Karen to go home and wait. Benedict and Hannah arrive at the clinic, engrossed in songs, unaware of Matthias watching from afar. Aida persuades a SWAT team to bypass official permission and breach the military area's fence. The earlier security guard returns, warning them of the restricted zone. Aida disregards his warning, and the men enter. Inside the house, Jonathan observes from the open front door. Once inside, an explosion resounds, prompting Aida to rush over. One of the men has sustained severe leg injuries from the blast. They discover that the place is rigged with mines, and Aida finds herself positioned amid the danger. The woman, once believed to be Lena, but now known otherwise, wakes up bound to a sink in a storeroom. The man enters, calling her Lena, but she doesn't respond, so he leaves, extinguishing the lights. In the present, Aida argues on the phone to expedite the handling of explosives. Benedict brings Hannah to his clinic, assigns her a room, and she goes to sleep. Once alone, she awakens, locks her door, and reaffirms her commitment to following instructions. In the past, the man proposes that the woman dyes her hair blonde in exchange for water. She reluctantly agrees, pushed to her limits. In the present, Gerd sits with the woman and shares the story of how Lena acquired the scar on her hand, caused by a childhood incident at Gerd's birthday party. A flashback shows the man inflicting the same scar on the woman after dyeing her hair. As the explosives team works at the military field, Jonathan hides under his bed with a miniature model of a house. Aida prepares to enter the area, confirming that the mines do not belong to the military. Karen returns home to find Matthias cleaning Lena's old room for Hannah. Matthias insists Hannah is his granddaughter, leaving Karen with questions about why Hannah recognized him. In the past, the woman awakens in the living room, where the man explains the house rules, including the requirement to stand with her hands out when he enters and strict bathroom schedules. In the present, Gerd comforts her after a nightmare, and she realizes she was locked up for 5 months. In the flashback, the man introduces the woman to her children and assumes the role of her husband, presenting themselves as a happy family. The SWAT team and their dogs finally access the military compound, where one of the dogs detects something suspicious. Aida contacts Gerd, speculating about finding the house but expressing concern about the possibility of someone else inside with more explosives. The woman suggests that he might be inside and mentions hitting him with a snow globe. As they enter the house, Aida discovers the man's body, heavily disfigured. Gerd, still on the phone, directs her to search for the boy. The woman advises checking the children's room under the bed, where Aida finds Jonathan. The woman encourages them to convey to Jonathan that he did everything correctly, and he reaches out his hand to Aida, relieved that Jonathan is safe and he is no longer a threat. Jasmine Grass, formerly known as the woman, shares her real name, Jasmine Grass from Düsseldorf. She discloses her father's name, Ulrich Grass, and Gerd departs to contact him. Aida leaves with Jonathan in her arms. Upon returning, Gerd informs Jasmine about the search for her father. When he reveals the severe injuries to the man's face, Jasmine vehemently denies causing them, insisting she struck him only once with a snow globe. After becoming agitated, she receives a sedative from the doctor. Gerd then contacts Karen to deliver the news. While Matthias is occupied setting up a new swing in their garden, Karen underscores the urgency of finding Lena. Jonathan is taken to Benedict's clinic, observed by someone in a car. In Hannah's room, she quietly asks Jonathan if he revealed anything about the baby Sarah. Jonathan responds with a shake of his head. In a flashback, the children sing carols to a man dressed as Santa Claus, who gives them gifts. Jonathan receives a snow globe, Hannah gets a stuffed cat, and Lena is told she's getting a baby. Gerd meets with Aida at the house and supports her decision despite her potential suspension due to the mine incident. At the clinic, Jonathan's DNA is collected, and he is given sunglasses, but he tosses them aside when the curtains open. A memory shows Hannah and Lena playing on a beach. Inside the house, they discover security cameras, and Gerd finds drawings under a bunk bed, including a cat, a lighthouse, and portraits of Matthias and Karen. A voiceover mentions Hannah's longing for stories about her grandfather's garden filled with flowers. Gerd sends pictures of the drawings to Karen, explaining how Hannah recognized Matthias. As he explores the house, he envisions the life they led there. In one flashback, the man mistreats Jasmine for not adhering to the toilet schedule, while another shows the children reading books, with Jonathan asking Jasmine about the sensation of happiness, which she conveys through a warm hug. Someone unplugs the router connected to the security cameras, causing the screens to go dark. Simultaneously, an activated bomb is discovered in the house, leading to a hurried evacuation before the explosion. Later, the coroner informs Gerd and Aida that the snow globe attack killed the man, but additional marks on his face were inflicted post-mortem by a missing piece of glass from the snow globe, the same piece Hannah had given to Jasmine. Furthermore, DNA analysis reveals that this unidentified individual does not match either of the children, and despite sharing the same mother, Lena Beck, the children have different fathers, indicating the likely involvement of 3 perpetrators. What do you guys think of the show so far? Should I cover more episodes?
Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like. It really helps the channel.